Good evening. My name is Ashwin Kerkar. I'm a partner with KPMG. I focus on SAP implementations, consulting work around SAP, and specific to GST, I'm leading the GST initiative from KPMG from a technology or a ERP standpoint.
Thank you.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon everyone. I'm Arun Subramanian. I'm a vice president in SAP Labs, and I head the localization development responsible for various localizations including GST as well.
Super. So before we move ahead, I wanted to formally thank KPMG because they've sponsored this event. So thanks a lot for being a partner to Indus and supporting us in our cause. So let's come back to the topic at hand, GST. So we continue to hear commitments from the government that GST will happen, will go live 2016. So I'm sure that you're all in the loop as to what is happening from a rollout perspective. So if you can just share with us your opinion whether it will go live, not go live. If it will go live, when do you think it will go live? Whatever little scoops that you've got for us.
Okay, so I'll tell you the chronology of events to be done between now and when GST would be formally rolled out. The legislation has to be passed first in the Parliament, and that is the first task to be done. And then at least 15 states need to ratify that as an overall majority. Post that, the legislation can kick in. This is from a legal standpoint or a legislation standpoint. From a readiness standpoint, the GST Council is already formed, and you may be aware the GST Council has already started work in terms of drafting of the law. The GST and network companies already started, and the development of the network is already started, and the award for the development got given away I think a couple of weeks back. And there is a lot of preparation happening around readiness for GST, but these are the steps before which it could get rolled out. From a rollout standpoint, it is anybody's guess whether it is actually going to be April of 16 or a little later in terms of either July or October.
Okay. So from a
maybe,
please.
and if the law has been passed, politically and as well, then we can be good to go, the beginning of any month.
Okay. So from a readiness perspective and from the law perspective itself, I mean, you spoke about the GST Council. How much work has already been done or completed in terms of what actually goes into that law? So do we have visibility in that as well?
Okay, fine. The policy is ready. The intent is very good, but the details are yet to be brought out into the public. So
but it's decided, but not in public.
It's decided, but it's still not in public. So you have something like the, in terms of sections, in terms of clauses, in terms of the details per transaction, all you have is a broad white paper that is in the public domain. The rest is all based on what we get to hear in formal and informal discussions. Second point is, it is being written, that is what we keep hearing, and therefore, now there is also this Official Secrecy Act. So we do not know if, once the law is written, if it will be already put up for public opinion or industry's opinion, or if it has to first be circulated amongst the members of Parliament and then brought into a restricted public domain. That is something that we'll also have to see. So I don't know if I'm.
I think I echo your views. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is where we will see some time being taken. But if you look at it from an intent and a broad policy point of view, it is in place. And of course, I think writing the details of law is an art. So we'll have to see how artistic our officers are when the law finally comes out.
Some of the leading points to this is since the design of the GSTN network is ready and they are now starting development, which means probably broad contours of law and the rules probably could be fairly ready, if not completely.
Interesting. So let's talk about from a readiness perspective, right? So for businesses, from a readiness perspective, I think there are two different contours to it. One is to be able to comply to the law of the land, which is to have a system which can actually take care of that. The second is the actual impact it can have on the business itself, right? So maybe, Arun, if you could talk about both from a system perspective, readiness perspective, and from a business readiness perspective.
See, there are actually two broad points. From SAP as an ERP vendor, I think it is our responsibility to first build that awareness that this is not yet another legal change. There is going to be something beyond a legislative change that you have to work on. Unlike in the past, VAT or Yashwant Sinha's budget that came in 2000, which had a lot of modifications, but they were sort of incremental. This is a reform. This is, it's going to be something replacing something else. So one is the awareness. Two is, it is not something that is going to be a standpoint of tax alone. If you do a simple mathematics, you take a 3-stage intra-state procurement process where you have 3 levels of vendors or traders. If you take 12.5% of excise duty and 14.5% of VAT, at the 4th stage, the price of a good, versus in the GST regime, you take a revenue neutral rate of say 27%, taking the highest value, and then you apply the same, the mathematics to this. At the 4th stage, for the same markup value, the goods are costlier in the GST regime. Now, what does that mean? I think he will be able to say that, you have to look at your business as such. The mathematics tells you the values. Now, it also is, there is something like what you should do. So, which is also one thing that SAP has been really focused on, which is why we are saying, let's have the ecosystem together. When we had an event in May, the GST forum in Delhi, where for the first time we had partners, we had customers. Of course, customers are always there. We never used to bring the partners because localization as a topic did not have a business value for partners in a big way. That is what we brought in. And then we wanted to tell the customers, plan your financials so that you're able to do both. Or if you're not able to do both, be aware of it so that you can choose when you want to do. Law anyway you'll have to comply with, you have no choice. But the other part, which is a business transformation, you cannot afford to ignore it. And there are the KPMGs who are there, who are the experts, masters, who are there to offer the services. So this is what we broadly brought in. Of course, we have shared a lot of data. We also keep pumping in data into the same website where it's available. We will be getting into a detailed design discussion, but any design will require details, which is what is stopping us at this point in time.
So your perspective on how can a business actually ready itself?
Okay, there are 3 aspects, 3 areas, broad areas in which GST really impacts. The first one is purely from a tax standpoint, as Arun mentioned. For some businesses, you have to pay tax upfront. There are new rules in terms of stock transfer probably getting into the tax net. So in that case, probably you need to pay tax upfront and then claim credit for that. So there is a cash flow impact. So you need to assess from applicability to your business on as is scenario, what is the tax impact today vis-a-vis when it comes to GST. And then probably there is a way to say, okay, how do I improve this situation? How do I go back to my supply chain ecosystem, my vendors and my customers? How do I relook at my contracts, my subcontractors, my service providers, and actually look at and manage and rejig that, so that how much benefit can get passed to you, and renegotiate the entire supply chain. Also look at, from a sales standpoint, your entire sales and distribution network to look at. Today it is mainly driven by the tax aspects. So we will have maybe 25, 28, 30 depots. Do you really need those many depots tomorrow when it comes to GST? So that's the question you need to ask yourselves in terms of looking at your supply chain and see how you service your customers more, rather than looking at how do I save taxes or optimize taxes, which is the question today. So that is the second aspect. And the third aspect, of course, is from a SAP standpoint, those clients who are on the older tax procedure, as was the case when SAP came out in May and said, okay, you need to move on to the new tax procedure, which is called tax INN, as a prerequisite for GST. So you need to look at that, as well as look at your existing processes within SAP. Because, for example, today you may be booking your services expenses directly in your accounts payable. In a GST kind of scenario, you may have to route it through a service PO, because you need to get credit for your services, because GST is a goods and services tax, so you will get credit for your service procured as a set off. So you need to adjust your business processes to accommodate requirements of GST. So as a prerequisite, you need to start moving some of them, rejig your business processes, so that you are ready for GST from a business process standpoint also.
So from the last point, Arun, how do we have any insight on how many customers are already compliant from the tax INN perspective, and what it takes for someone to actually?
So, sure. Tax INN, I think we have many customers on tax INN. Tax INJ, we have a few customers, and they are the older customers, predominantly those who went live in the 1999s, 2000s, 2001s, because tax INN was introduced sometime in 2004 or 2005.
Yeah.
So now there is this legacy that goes with the INJ, but what we've seen is that you can do a straight one-to-one mapping to ensure that your business continues. You can do this one-to-one mapping between INJ and INN, and what it does is it takes away any computation that is code-driven to condition-driven, which is 3 or 4 steps ahead, in terms of
logic,
how you get your processing done. Now here we have identified what could be critical areas that will need to be looked into. There is no one solution fits all, because businesses operate differently. So we have some recommendations, and using the recommendations, it is for the organizations to avail, look into their businesses and take a call. For example, if there is let's say you have multiple plants and depots, and there is a plant where you do a lot of procurement and probably stock transfers and not sales, then probably you can look at, addressing that first, so that your credits are not affected. Whatever, I don't know what the thing will, but each business will have to look into how they want to work it out. And we were also discussing offline, this is probably a very good lean period to do this, and to move in and be ready for GST. Because, it's like when you shift from one house to another, you don't pack everything and take. There is also certain set of goods that you would like to give away or junk. So we would, during the process of implementation, there will be a lot of junk that is residing in the systems. This is also a chance to clean that up. So that is how I will look at it. SAP India also has an educational services where they are able to provide some kind of training and a kind of a methodology to work out this migration. And we are anyways there from development, a phone call away, an OSS message away, and it was very gratifying to hear that we are doing well on the OSS side. So we will definitely address any concern that comes up so that, we can help for a very smooth migration.
So I wanted to check with you, Ashwin, that do you already see customers engaging with you to understand the tax implications, the three kinds of implications that you said, and working towards identifying how they can transform?
Yes, actually, there are a lot of customers who are today proactive. We have already done engagements where we have assessed the impact from a tax standpoint, from a cash flow standpoint, as well as from a supply chain standpoint. A lot of customers, in fact, have been proactive and have identified kind of a blueprint for themselves from a supply chain standpoint in terms of saying, okay, how many depots they would possibly retire and where they will shift those operations so that there will be one hub and spoke kind of model where this depot will service these 3 states or 4 states, that kind of a stuff. Also from a GST, INJ, INN migration standpoint, we have had customers who have already moved on to INJ, to INN from INJ. Not only because of GST as a driver, there are, as Arun said, there are other advantages in terms of moving on to INN. It is a lot easier as a tax process to manage that. You can kind of optimize on your pricing procedures. Your conditions are much more optimized, as well as the number of tax codes are drastically reduced once you move on to INN. So it's a much leaner, meaner kind of a tax procedure, especially if you are kind of sales-driven company where you need to come out with schemes and rebates very often. Then it's a very easy way of coming out with schemes in an efficient manner than probably those customers who are on INJ. So we find customers moving on the SAP side, as well as clients moving on the impact assessment on supply chain and the tax side as well.
Okay, so I think I will stop there and open it up for questions. If you have any questions, we can take them now. Maybe at the end, I can ask both of them to maybe summarize 1 or 2 asks or suggestions that they would have, or recommendations that they would have. Questions, anyone? So looks like everyone is tired. Is that the case? Yeah, so can you just...
Okay, so
just repeat the question.
So just for everybody, I'll just repeat the question. The question is basically which all are the taxes which will get replaced subsumed is the legal word when GST comes into play. So some of them are like these. You will not have your excise duty, your VAT, parts of customs duty. So basic custom duty will be there. Rest of the AED, SED will go off. Service tax will not be there. Entertainment tax, octroi will not be there. Any other?
Entry tax.
Entry tax, yes. Entry tax, local body tax, all those taxes will not be there. But there is a proposal to keep some of the products outside the GST regime, like your petroleum products or alcohol. How it will take final shape depends on the legislation, but that is the way it is as things stand today. Sorry? Yes, exactly. So any input tax which you have paid on GST, you can get credit for that. So if take even for a stock transfer, for example, you are paying tax at a place, and at the depot when you receive it, you can actually claim credit for that, which means there is just a cash flow impact. There is no tax impact for that, but there is a cash flow impact. So every tax, including services, when you pay GST on service procurement, you will be able to claim credit for that.
Can you give him the mic, please?
Suppose one item has already taxed. So why there is a need to take the rebate and tax it again? There is single point tax. Once the material is get out from the factory, that should be taxed one time. or the service is delivered that has to be taxed, rather than the de-taxing kind of things. Is there any provision for that?
So when it comes to GST, okay, unlike today where the tax is at the point of origin, in a GST kind of scenario, the tax will be destination-based tax code. That is one. So if you are shipping material from, say, Delhi to Chennai, there will be two kinds of taxes which will be applicable. One is the CGST, in this case IGST, because it is interstate, but for simplicity's sake, IGST would be broken into two, which is CGST and SGST. So central GST and state level GST, and in this particular example, the state level GST will be state of Tamil Nadu which will get the tax, and not state of origin as is the case today. So that is the difference.
My question is, suppose I am sitting in Madhya Pradesh, I am shipping the material to Gujarat. So the tax will be levied at the Madhya Pradesh, and again the B will take, suppose that we have the depot in Gujarat, again we have to levy the tax and then take the rebate of that?
Yes, and there will be rules which are there. So what can be set off against what? So for example, central GST or CGST can be set off against CGST only. State GST can be set off against state GST. So that those are norms.
These are the current situation. These are the current situation.
No.
In case of GST, there will be only single GST, or still there will be component inside the GST.
There will be components. So there will be a central GST, there will be a state level GST. And in case of interstate, there could be 1% additional, which is talked about in terms of that is non-rebatable or non.
Then again it will create a complexity.
Yes, there could be for.
If you're talking about the Bihar, you're talking about the Mumbai or the Chhattisgarh, they are more taxable states. If you're talking about the Bihar, that is not a taxable state because they are not the producing state.
So there could be state level rates which could be different, and they have given a norm of 2% variation at best. So that could be the variation maximum, but we believe there could not be not too many variations on that.
Yeah, so I think we can pass it on to him, please.
On this GST, like the last seminar we had mentioned about tax IN and INJ. Apart from there, is there some detailed document which will list the possible process changes which we would need to think about or get prepared? Is there a document?
That document is available for all of us. That document has been made public. In terms of a solution proposal.
You're talking of the tax IN and INJ?
No. For the GST, we have made a broad solution proposal document, which we shared in the seminar in May, that is also made public and available for all of us.
No, I am talking of details like today when you have a capture stage or a post the excise, which all may not be there in the future, right? Possibly.
Yes. Yes.
So there is a change of process which has to be mapped into the system for all of us. So are those details listed?
Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe so it's available on the same document?
Yes. It's available in the same microsite.
Not the same document. It's a different document available on the same website.
Okay. Maybe I
So
missed
we
it.
will anyway send it as part of the
Okay.
package.
Yeah, maybe you can.
Because those are the things at least we could prepare, as you said, prepare ourselves mentally, what gets redundant. Because even there would be reorganization within the organization. Like there would be certain functions which are redundant. Like suppose there's a person we have appointed for capturing the excise. His role is no more there, right? So at least we need to know how best we could realign the process. Thank you.
So we will send that package post-event.
Okay, because I don't know how I missed it, or I don't know if others have seen it, then that's something I should find out. Anyway, if you're sending it, that will solve the problem.
Sure.
Thank you.
So any other questions? So there's one question at the end, please, back at the far end.
Hello, this is Virender Rawat. Actually, I'll tell you, a couple of years back, VAT was introduced, that time there was a expectation that there will be a common VAT rate across all states. But if we talk about today, all the states have different structures. Most of the states have, and they are free to, if no, will there be a different structure, and will there be a different rate of GST for within state sale or outside state, interstate?
You want me to start?
Okay.
Then maybe you can add. So GST will have three components, as he was saying. CGST, which is the central GST, and SGST, which is the state GST. And for interstate supply, there will be an IGST, the integrated GST. Now, as of what we know today, they want to come up with a rate which should be uniform. So there will be one portion. Let's say they say 25% is going to be the overall GST rate, 12% will be CGST, and 13% should be SGST. Okay. But the council has also mentioned in the document so far that they will allow a band within which states can decide. You can have an SGST of not more than 13%. So the states will be given a cap of 13. I'm just taking 13 as a number, yeah?
Okay.
So if some state may say, okay, I'll make it 11 or I'll make it 12. That's something that is not, as of today from the policy document that we see, the white paper that we have, this is something that they're talking of. But we will know only when the rules are made public, and at that point in time we'll get to know whether there is going to be a band, or if they're going to say, if the council says, let's agree, that it's going to be uniform across all states.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you. Last question, if there is one. Otherwise, we can kind of get to closure. No? Okay, so maybe one or two sets of recommendations for everyone, and then we kind of close.
Sure. So from a GST readiness standpoint, I'll divide the set of recommendations into two. First is for those companies who are on INJ, I think you need to immediately move on INN and don't wait for the actual legislation law to be passed in Parliament to actually move, because you may not then get enough time to rejig your tax structure, your condition pricing, etc., etc. Second is you may want to start off with your preparedness for GST in terms of assessing what is the impact from a tax standpoint, from a cash flow standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, and from a supply chain standpoint, because these things take time. You need to develop your business models, look at applicability, see which depots you need to shut or you need to move your depots, change your supply chain, change your subcontractors, toll manufacturers, procurement contracts. That takes anywhere between 4 to 6 months to change, and that's a big change in business. And it's also organization-wide change management, and any change management takes time to actually seep in through the organization. And hence probably you may want to start your action. And to start that, I would recommend that you constitute a kind of core working group comprising of, say, finance, supply chain, SAP, procurement, all put together, and start probably deliberating on that.
Thank you. Arun?
Perfect. I think I should thank you for suggesting everyone to move to INN, because that's really important. So to it, to all that he has said, what I will add as one additional point is that if there is a scope for you to upgrade to the latest version of SAP, please even look into that. I think it will make things also a lot easier in terms of, getting ready for GST, when we from SAP are releasing the solution to you. That's also one point that I will suggest that you should write down and, really debate it, and then check it out and see if you would like to, upgrade. That's also important.
Super. So I think that concludes the conversation and also the event. Thanks a lot, Ashwin, for all your support.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arun, for flying
Nice
in
opportunity.
here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks a lot for staying through to the end. I hope that the day that you have spent here has been of value. Please do let us know your feedback by filling in the feedback form. And if there is anything that you want Indus to take up on your behalf with SAP, with anyone, with other organizations, please do let us know. Yeah? Thanks a lot.
Mukesh, there is, we have a jam page for GST from SAP. I mean, we've been talking about it internally as well, and Mukesh has also shared it with all of you. But please get active on that and put in your suggestions, go through all the documents that we've put in place there, because it is a collective effort. GST cannot be, you know, I do it, you sort of consume it. And if we don't do it collectively, we are not going to, you know, get there. So please make use of that opportunity and reach out to any of us for any suggestions, any clarifications, because we are trying to give as much of information as possible. Yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
everyone.
you.